Welcome to the Beagle Alliance annual general meeting for 2024. It was opened up to the public to join. We had sent numerous emails and, of course, had it on our events on our site for the public to join. And it is being recorded and it will be on our site available for anyone to see. So I'm going to just start with our agenda, which is the roll call, which we have noted in the Teams. And so I'm going to share my screen because number 2 on the agenda is the executive director's report. So I'm going to share the screen and go over briefly some things that we all know already, but I will just briefly go over it for you guys, which of course, this is the annual report for 2024-2025. The Beagle Alliance is the only organization in Canada dedicated to animals, specifically dogs, in research. We are both a foster-based rescue and an advocacy organization. We are both a voice for change and a soft landing place for the rest of their lives. The mission, as we make very clear on our site and in our correspondence via social media and emails, is to give former research animals more years outside of the cage than inside, and to give animals from situations of harm and neglect a second chance at life, and as well to advocate for the release of eligible animals in science and build a community that believes that these animals can go from lab to love. And of course, our vision is to see the end of animal testing altogether globally. Here are our core values, and of course, this will be available on our site. So compassion, respect, collaboration, and integrity. We value the lives of the animals and the people we work with and meet everyone exactly where they are. We treat all beings with dignity, fairness, and empathy, and we value inclusivity. We value teamwork and actively create partnerships that will increase our ability to save more lives. We make ethical, transparent, and well-intentioned decisions and are clear about making animal welfare a priority. The guiding principles, I kind of, made it sort of fun and used the acronym of Beagle because, of course, that's our expertise, is dogs coming out of testing. So I won't go through all of this, but it's there. A note about our fosters and adopters, of course, we would just simply not be able to get animals out of testing facilities if it weren't for our fosters and adopters. They are literally the lifeblood of our organization. And even with the donation to start the Beagle Enrichment Center, that Beagle Enrichment Center is not going to be a facility where people can come and where the dogs are going to stay for long periods. It's literally just it's a landing place for when fosters are unable to be there on the day at which we show up for the rescue. It's a landing place for dogs who are going to be flown to other cities to adopters. And of course, it's a landing place for dogs who maybe need a little bit of extra help and training and have issues that we want to be more hands-on. So the fosters and adopters are really the lifeblood. We know that the rescue would not be possible, of course, and we make ourselves available to them 24/7 so that they know that we are with them throughout the process. In 2024, we rescued 35 beagles. The first of the season was in January. We received a call from another rescue who was not expert in dogs with PTSD or anxiety, dogs from any situation of harm. And so they reached out to us because they were getting dogs out of a South Korean veterinary school and they weren't sure how to vet fosters for that. So we placed those 2 dogs into homes in California, and they are doing incredibly, of course. And then we went on to get a call for 10 beagles from a facility in the US, and we made the decision to go on a little bit of a tour because we did not have enough fosters in Manitoba. And we thought that it would be quite a lucrative way of spreading awareness if we went across Canada and, had an opportunity to talk about the dogs and about animal testing. And even though they were coming from the United States, it was an opportunity to talk about dogs in Canada and how over 10,000 dogs were used. And of course, that number went up in 2023. So it was quite a success. The dogs are doing fabulously. They're all adopted. And we did get a lot of media coverage and a lot of awareness happened. And in general, we got to meet fosters and adopters and volunteers. And it was just incredible. And that sort of brought us to the next rescue, to a very short month and a half, 2 months later. I think we were home for a few days when we got a call to say, can you guys come and get more beagles? And so we did our best to navigate that. And of course, we, which is our normal process, ended up in Minneapolis, in Kathy's neck of the woods, to, sort of do our stop there, which is just an incredible resource for us because we do a lot of driving and a lot of traveling, and to have a nice place to settle and give the dogs an opportunity to decompress, and for us to sort of get a break and have volunteers and friends help us is just a godsend on our travels throughout the US and coming back into Canada. So those 10 dogs, of course, have been adopted, which is amazing, and they did very well. And just after that, we got a very unexpected call for 6 more, and that was truly the call that was not expected. It came out of nowhere, and we mobilized, and those 6 beagles, of course, are doing great. There's only a couple pending adoptions there. And in the meantime, we had 7 beagles that people in our community reached out and said, can you help us? And of course, it's very hard to do that because it's outside of the mission of laboratory testing. But, we do know that people who put in applications for dogs are experienced with beagles, and we do our very best during the course of vetting fosters and adopters for particular rescues to see if there's any way that we can help the people that have reached out to us. And that ended up being 7 dogs throughout the year that were abandoned, neglected, and harmed in a variety of ways. And they are now doing incredibly. So that was like a little bit of a bonus in the world of rescue this year. So these are the numbers since 2022. 19 abandoned, relinquished, and special needs dogs, 21 from Envigo. That, of course, will not change. That'll be a static number because the Envigo rescue, of course, is now done. But we did play a part in placing 21 dogs from the Envigo breeding facility into homes, 5 of which are in Canada. And the rest are across the United States, mostly in California. And we are now at 60 former research beagles. And when you look at that number, that's from mid 2022. And now we are committed to maybe doing 50 in 1 year. So, that's the plan. And we're going to do our very best to make sure that happens. But it'll be a lot of work, a lot of travel, and a lot of work. The campaigns in 2024, we continued on with our letter writing to the laboratories in Canada. We're going to continue on. We're going to refine the letter. We have gotten feedback from some of the universities in Canada stating that they don't want to work with us because we advocate for animal-free science, and I understand that. They don't want to run into a fight. And I think that we present ourselves in a way that is we don't want to fight them. We don't want to shame them. We just want to help the animals that are in their facilities and work with them. And we're perfectly willing to keep them confidential for their own safety to do that. So we're going to continue on with our letter writing campaign into 2025. Of course, we're always promoting cruelty-free consumerism. And this year, our animal law conference subject matter was Dogs as a Gateway for Change in Canada. We fundamentally, to our core, believe that in order to make change for animal testing in Canada, we need to gain the majority. And the majority are not animal advocates or animal rights individuals. The majority are people with dogs who love their dogs. And I think if we focus on that love and passion that people have for their dogs, we can really get a grassroots awareness going for animals in testing, specifically dogs. So that was a big subject matter for us at the Animal Law Conference. And of course, we are always promoting alternatives to testing on animals. And I'll just kind of skip. There was the draft study to replace, reduce, and refine vertebrate animal testing. And we worked on that campaign, and that was asking people to write in. And of course, that extended to funding for animal-free science. So those campaigns will continue into 2025. Here's a little bit of the fundraising. This is really rudimentary. I'm not going to pretend that this is there's a lot more to this, I guess, is what I'm going to say. But this is just a reference. So we did do some down home local fundraising this year, far more than we did in 2023. So we did a Beagle benefit. We are hoping to do that again in June, and that raised several $1,000s. Our local Winnipeg Kinsman Jackpot Bingo, same thing. They promoted us, and that was, quite a nice fundraiser. We weren't expecting. We started Beagle Yoga, and that was it was a bit of a fundraiser, but it was also a great opportunity for people to come and meet some of the former research beagles that we have rescued that are in Manitoba. So it was a great way to spread awareness and have people meet the dogs and consider fostering going forward. And same with the Beagle Mania. And that was Beagle Mania was an actual supporter who wanted to do that, and she did that on her own. So that didn't come from us. That was a supporter who wanted to do that. Now, of course, Giving Tuesday is the biggest giving day of the year, and we're still, honestly, Giving Tuesday was December 3rd. It's December 29th. We are literally still getting Giving Tuesday donations. So that number is probably over 10,000 for Giving Tuesday. And just as a reference, last year it was 5,000. So we doubled Giving Tuesday this year. We did Santa photos because, again, we had somebody who wanted an adopter actually, who wanted to be Santa and do that with us. So as a summary, our November donations were $116,000. And that was because we did get from the Margulis Foundation $100,000 to help with the 50 Beagles and to start the Beagle Enrichment Center. But even if we took away that $100,000, that $16,000 is double, so that was quite an incredible November. And right now in December, and of course it's not over because we're at year end, we're already at about $13,000 to $14,000. So, and I'm just going through this quickly, but awareness and reach, it is what it is. Of course, we continue to do our virtual town halls. We send newsletters, and we have people subscribing to our newsletter. And there's a little bit of social media and just some of the increases we've had with social media. And admittedly, in the last 30 days, we had a specific adopter who had quite a large following, who posted some pretty incredible videos that allowed us to have a bit of a wider reach. Media, we continue. We've been really blessed with media. So this is just a list of the media coverage that we have received. since that first Dogs Know No Borders rescue. I think we had 4 different outlets across Canada on that one, and it just continued as we moved throughout our rescues. These were our key events. All of our rescues are on here. We had a panel discussion with Cruelty Free International, which was, obviously they are, they have a wide reach. So that was pretty good. Oh, sorry, I skipped to that. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know how to go back. So sorry, guys. Oh, there we go. Our fundraisers are in there. We went to the Winnipeg Pet Expo. Anything that we can do locally, we're trying to do. And then we have down here the first annual Beagle benefits. So we do intend to move that into, we're going to continue on, right? We're trying to say it's an annual thing, and we're going to do it the same as Beagle Yoga. So now there. Okay. Focus areas for 2025. Obviously, our goal is we are trying to lay a foundation so that the Canadian facilities will feel confident in releasing to us. In the meantime, while we continue to do that, we have discussed with our rescue partner that we are hoping to place 50 Beagles from U.S. testing facilities into homes. And of course, we'll start planning the Beagle Enrichment Center and continue to collaborate in order to bring dogs out of facilities and into homes. Fundraising, of course, we will continue on with family foundations and grants, and we will attempt to create local events, not just in Manitoba this year. We're going to start working with volunteers and seeing if we can get local events happening throughout every province. And advocacy, as I had mentioned before, will continue on with our, the same animal-free science, cruelty-free shopping and consumerism, our lab letter writing. But of course, we do believe that dogs as a gateway for change is the way to go. And I think that the love of dogs that we have as a culture in this country can make a difference for animal testing in Canada. And we'd really like to expand our volunteer base. We have a lot of people who want to volunteer, and we haven't utilized those people. So that's something that we really want to work with people to become more engaged. So thank you all. Of course, this is our team, the incredible team that we have, and that are so dedicated and passionate about what we're doing. So thank you all. And of course, and this will be posted on our website, but how you can help, how public officials can help private citizens, and the ways in which we can make a difference for animals in this country. And again, there's really no amount of gratitude. I probably say thank you 1,000 times, and I mean it 1,000 times. People say to us, thank you for what you do, and it's very nice and kind, but at the same time, we wouldn't be able to do it without the incredible supporters and our board and our volunteers and our fosters and adopters and our donors. Again, cliche, but the village is the village, and it is what allows us to do what we do. So that's the probably too long executive director's report. So I'm going to move it to Kathy for a brief financial overview, I guess. Kathy.
Hi. This can just be really quick, and just a quick summary. We're happy to say that the board has approved the budget for 2025, and things are good. 2024 started with some financial concerns, but fundraising and grant seeking have increased tenfold this year, and has definitely changed the landscape for the Beagle Alliance. Our cash flow looks really good, and our financials are really strong, and they should continue to be so going forward. so looking forward to 2025, the Beagle Alliance has secured funding for a building for an enrichment center, thanks to the Margulis Foundation, and has committed to a minimum of 50 dogs rescued from testing. And while this, will increase expenses, the fundraising and foundation response has increased significantly, and the financials, the revenue and expenses should balance out very well this year. Not a lot to report. It's all good. So I don't, I don't have a whole lot to say unless anyone has any questions.
Good. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for that.
Yep. So I'm going to mute it again.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you. And of course, if anyone has questions, the budget was approved, but of course, we're all available via email if there's any questions. Okay, so I had put in the agenda that there'd be a budget meeting date, but we've done that. And so events and conferences, I wanted to chat with you guys. We were not accepted in the Humane Canada. We didn't get a spot as speakers in the Humane Canada Summit. That was the only conference that is already, like, the submission period for 2025 already happened in 2024. So we already know that. So really the only two conferences that we apply to are the Humane Canada Summit and the Animal Law Conference. So at this point, unless something comes up throughout the year, we will, of course, in April apply for the Animal Law Conference. And it appears that that will be just as in 2023, our only, or in 2024, rather, our only conference. So, just so you guys know. Humane Canada Summit, I don't ever expect to be, because it's mostly shelters and, SPCAs, but we do hope that in the future they will spend a little bit more time focusing on animals and research. So we will continue to apply. We are I am chatting with some advocates in Manitoba about putting together somewhat of a small conference in Manitoba about animals and research. But of course, that will be a discussion with you guys. We just thought, let's start local and see how we can spread awareness. But that, of course, will not proceed without a discussion with you all naturally. But at this point, Animal Law Conference will be hopefully the only conference. I mean, we assume that we will be accepted and that that'll be a conference that we will attend this year. The 2025 meeting dates, I'm going to go on the notion that we will do as we normally do and, use our polls and figure out what we're doing. Right now, the first quarter looks quiet. Brenda and I are not really game on driving dogs around the countryside in the middle of winter, obviously. So, we'll be in touch with you guys going forward. Well, of course, I'm going to be sending policies to you guys, but we don't intend or see any bigger rescues happening where we're on the road until maybe mid-March, for obvious safety reasons. In terms of weather, it's tricky. We think we're going to go west, and that weather is just too unpredictable. So, I would rather have an idea that it's going to be safe. But in the meantime, during this first quarter, I will be looking into what it takes to figure out our enrichment center and what's going to be involved in that and how we proceed with that possibly in the spring. So, if we have to have any meetings with that, I'll just throw that out at you guys. If you're okay with that, if you guys are okay with us continuing with our doodle poll and deciding meetings on that. That said, we're pretty early right now, which is great, but do you got now we can kind of take a breath because it's only 6 o'clock. We allotted the hour. So do you guys have anything you want to discuss or anything that you want to talk about going forward in, in 2025 for meeting agendas, et cetera? Please. I think we definitely have some time. So by all means.
I just have a question. You said that you had heard from some laboratories that are, not interested in having a discussion because you're promoting,
Animal-free science.
I forgot. Right, but wouldn't they be interested in it if it was anonymous, or are they just
Well,
that's their
we've made
reason for
it,
saying no?
yeah, no, that's a great question, but we have made it very clear that, we have on our website and we've made it clear in our lab letter writing that we will sign a non-disclosure, right? We make that very,
Yeah.
very clear. I think we've proven that we keep confidences. I mean,
Yeah.
the public,
Yeah.
we don't disclose our rescue partner. We don't, our partners, we don't disclose any laboratory information. We'll continue to keep that quiet as long as we're asked. Two things come up with that. Number one, sometimes we don't get a lot of flack, but sometimes we'll get a little bit of flack on social media saying, tell us who they are, you're just protecting them. And I understand that sentiment, but we're not, I mean, people's jobs and the safety of their jobs has to be protected, and their belief systems, in my humble opinion, has to be protected. We do have to acknowledge that the majority of people working in a laboratory are not evil people. They're working in a laboratory, and just because we disagree with what might be happening there doesn't mean that they're horrible people. It just means we disagree. And I try to answer those questions very diplomatically by saying that we're not here to shame. We just want to we like most just want to look at animal welfare issues and do what's best for the animals. But we have had that comment, and it does, I mean, what I think is I'm going to do with that comment is reword our letter writing campaign, and just make it a little bit clearer that just because we advocate for animal-free science doesn't mean we're not fighting you. We don't pretend to be experts. We're not the scientists here. No, nobody at the Beagle Alliance is pretending to be a scientist or an expert. And that we really just want to work with you. And if there's animals in those facilities that we can have released, then why wouldn't we do it? And we have absolutely no problem not saying who you are, et cetera. So I think it's more about wording, and also just proving who we are. And I think slowly we're proving who we are. We're not extremists. And I think slowly over time that'll become apparent that we're just here to help the animals, and we're not here to shame any laboratory or what anybody's doing out there. We're just, let's have a conversation. We want to be at the table is the bottom line. I hope that's not too long-winded, and I hope it answers you at the same time, Kathy.
No, I think that's great. That definitely makes sense to me. I just want them to start bringing beagles to you, or letting you get beagles. So
yeah. I mean, Canada and Andrew probably, I mean, I don't want to say probably, Andrew does have more knowledge and experience in this, but of course, my experience over the last years of getting dogs out has been in the United States, which is a different landscape. But I think our focus bottom line is we're saving lives. We're blessed to have rescue partners who trust us so that we can still have the ability to get dogs out of laboratories, whether they be in Canada or not, which is a blessing in and of itself. And those dogs become incredible ambassadors in Canada, and they're almost doing the job for us by their sweet little existence, and their forgiveness and all that they bring to people who adopt them. So I guess we'll just spend however many years laying a foundation, proving that we're an organization of integrity and of experience, and who says what we say we do, and hope for the best. All you can do is, I guess, lead by example, and then hope that it all works out from there. But we'll still knock on their doors. I'm not going to stop knocking on their doors. Right? But, at least we can feel that while we're knocking on our doors, if they're looking at us here and there, that they're seeing that we're doing what we say we do. And that's the integrity that I, hope to maintain, so that eventually they say, you know what? Yeah, the Beagle Alliance knows what they're doing, and we're going to give them our dogs, and you know, that's the goal. You guys don't make me talk this whole time. Like, what else do you have?
I don't think you have to. Do you have to go the full hour?
No,
Just
we absolutely don't. I just feel that I'm always the one talking, and between me listening to my voice on videos and on this, I've just like, I can't wait to be silent for a week, maybe after New Year's. I don't want to hear myself anymore. But thank you all, number one. I mean, and Carla did just text and say that she's sick in bed and she totally forgot. So she apologizes. But if you guys don't have anything else, then we'll adjourn. But I will say to you guys that it's been a year that I wasn't expecting. It did not start out this way, financially, obviously, as Kathy said. But it was also a year that I think that people heard our voice a little bit more, and in Canada, and I just think there's such a bright future for us. And I without getting too sentimental, man, for all that I do on a daily basis, knowing you guys are in the background and that I have you is a blessing. So thank you, truly. It's a lot because, and, I wish Brenda were on this call right now. But man, there's some unsung heroes, like B, who has been here from the beginning. And I wouldn't be able to, I mean, half the things that go on a daily basis. And of course, I wouldn't be able to leave my house if my best friend Jennifer didn't come and look after everything. And if Brenda didn't retire and say she's going to come on the road. So there's just so many heroes in all of you that are not out there in the face of it, that I just want you to know that you guys are so appreciated. And every time that someone says to me, "Oh, Lori, thank you for everything you do," believe me, it doesn't go to my head. I realize that I would be doing none of this without you guys. So I just want you guys to know how literally grateful I am for you. And on that note, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year, and
Thanks,
thank
Lori.
you, Lori, for
Thank
Happy New
you.
Year.
everything.
Truly,
Great
thank
job.
you guys. We'll
Bye.
talk.